I'm Scott Duxbury and welcome to Nucleus195 Pro Insights. Today we are talking with BCS Global Markets. BCS is a Russian broker-dealer which have office locations in the US as well. They are number one on the Moscow Stock Exchange for equities, futures, options and foreign exchange. They're a full investment bank and have program trading capabilities as well. We will be speaking with CEO Gary Asayan. We'll be talking to the Head of Trading, Mike Donato, and we'll be talking to one of their sales members, Kirill Fashine. Gary, thank you for having some time with us today. Can you tell us a bit about BCS Global Markets?
BCS is really the Charles Schwab of Russia. The firm was created in 1995 as an online brokerage entity. We have over 300,000 customer accounts. We have offices in over 100 cities across Russia. The group is broken into two distinct divisions. One is the retail side, and the other is the global market side. The U.S. office here is part of the global markets entity. We operate from Moscow, London, and New York. This office has been operational for 3 years, and we employ 12 people here in New York.
BCS was recently ranked in Extel's survey as the #1 Russian research house. Can you tell me a bit more about the product?
I can. We have over 26 professionals working out of Moscow, covering approximately 50 companies. We cover fixed income as well as Russian OFZs, which is the sovereign bond. We do small note weekly on FX, ruble dollar, ruble euro, and our research efforts have been quite successful in that our analysts are active. They visit clients on a regular basis, as well as companies, of course, and we're looking forward to continuing our efforts in that area.
And last year, BCS announced the launch of a synthetic prime brokerage platform, which gives investors simple access to the Russian markets. Can you explain how that process works?
Yes, it's basically a new offering. It's a synthetic prime. It's a currency-denominated prime product focusing on not only Russian equities but also the ruble in an FX context. It ties together nicely with our current prime brokerage offering, which has been in place for over 3 years.
BCS Global Markets has also announced a few partnerships recently. One of them was Tigris Financial Partners. Can you explain how that partnership works?
Sure. One thing I should actually add before I answer that directly is that BCS is a non-government owned entity. We have a sole independent shareholder, so we're not on any sanction lists and things of that nature. And one of the first initiatives when we got started here 3 years ago was to look for partners. And Tigris represented an interesting opportunity for us to work with. They are a diversity firm, a woman-owned brokerage house, and we work with them on a variety of business lines, and the partnership now has been in effect for a little over a year, and we're looking to continue to grow it.
And how is BCS looking to grow your business in the US?
We offer, in addition to the Russian access, which we just discussed, and is part and parcel of the operation, but we also are members of the New York Stock Exchange. We provide execution services. We have an active emerging market fixed income desk and sales effort here, and we do look for special opportunities that would fall, I guess, broadly in a structured finance context. So yes, Russia access, but really a FINRA broker-dealer actively involved in traditional business lines.
Great. Thanks for your time today, Gary. We have Mike Donato here, Head of Trading for BCS Global Markets. I'm very lucky to have known Mike for about 20 years. What has brought you to BCS Global Markets, Mike?
As you said, we know each other 20 years, going back to London 20 years ago. And in London, in my previous job, I was actually a client of BCS. Considering that all the other Russian banks are sanctioned, BCS was the only non-sanctioned bank, so for me to trade in Russia, that was my access. And I was friendly with some of the guys at BCS, and over time they had mentioned that they bought a banking license in New York and they wanted someone to, to come right in the trading desk here, but preferably somebody with U.S. trading pedigree as well as international trading pedigree. So, after 20 years, I thought the time was right. The opportunity looked great. The space is perfect considering the size of our company. And, at the time I felt that we would be fulfilling a need for clients, and over time, we are fulfilling that need.
Yeah, it's great. Now, the trading and execution arm recently jumped to number 2 in the Nextel survey, jumping from number 6. What differentiates yourselves from your competitors?
Well, I think with all the turmoil going on in the market right now, we are a lean, mean team with very experienced. We have about 60 years experience with only 2 guys on a trading desk here. So we can offer all the bells and whistles every other bulge bracket can, but we can do it with a better sense of care. And like everything else, I think we know where the bodies lie, but we also can thrive on our anonymity in the marketplace as well. I think customers appreciate that.
And where do you see the market heading in the short term, both for Russia and for the US?
Well, Russian local stocks, it's still very much a geopolitical play, and I think near term probably doesn't look too great considering what's happening this week in Turkey and everything else, and with the Ukraine thing coming out. That said, Russian stocks that trade here trade very well. Yesterday in the news it came out that MTS decided to keep their listing on the New York Stock Exchange, which is a huge vote of confidence, not just for the New York Stock Exchange and the liquidity that the U.S. marketplace provides, but also that investors care enough that they made enough of a point telling MTS to keep the listing over here. We went up being number 1 or 2 most days in MTS and Yandex, RSX ETF. We also do a small seeding business here for ETFs, and we're in the process of listing a couple of Chinese ETFs onto the Moscow exchange. So there's lots of ways that we're evolving that are, some are niche and some are plain vanilla. But I think, as I mentioned before, our experience here allows us to succeed in all of these different aspects.
That's great. Mikey, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
We have Kirill Fershine here, who is Director of Equity Sales. Kirill, could you please explain your role here at BCS?
Yes, mainly I'm here as a conduit and a linkage for institutional investors in the US who are looking to invest in Russia and CIS countries, also known as former Soviet Union. I am helping on advisory, research, and connecting with capital market opportunities in the region.
Right. A recent report from your research team suggested Russia's economic performance and investment landscape may not be as negative as current growth statistics suggest. Can you give us some more details on this?
Sure. The main caveat, I think, when people need to look at emerging markets and places like Russia, it's not just about the growth rate in isolation. There's also how does it look compared to other countries. And in emerging markets, Russia actually is doing relatively okay because there is some growth. Many of the other emerging market countries are actually showing below growth. They're going negative, and this is why Russia is still very interesting. Plus, there's also multiple other drivers beyond that that make the investment climate interesting, such as dividends in the stock market for many of the companies.
And the Russian market is highly correlated with the oil price. What are some of the other Russian industries where investors should be looking at as investment opportunities?
The Russian market is much more diverse and much more interesting than just the oil commodity play that people think of it as. There are dynamic tech companies, construction companies, and consumer and banking names that are all very interesting. There are companies such as Yandex, the internet company, sometimes known as the Google of Russia, which actually trades in the US, as well as Mobile Telesystems, ticker MBT, which trades in the US. These are all highly correlated to the consumer in Russia and also to the innovation and tech growth that you get from that market, which is actually quite amazing compared to some of the other comparable emerging markets.
Great, Kirill. Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.